Hello, my lovely stampers. How about some coloring today? A little bit of alcohol marker with our blends. I'm Karen Trolfa and I'm with Stampers Club. You can find me online at www.stampersclub.com. I have lots of extra little tips and tricks out there. So be sure to check me out there. And if you like the video, make sure that you subscribe to my channel so that you get further videos on some lovely cards that we could make. Today, I'm going to use our Free as a Bird stamp set, and we're going to create this cute little guy. Okay, it has definitely some blend stamping in it. Okay, so let's get started. First, I'm going to use a piece of Whisper White cardstock and Memento ink. Since we're using alcohol markers, we have to use a Memento ink. Otherwise, the regular ink will bleed in. So we want to make sure we ink up our stamp. And you notice I'm doing it upside down? Sometimes I think that's a little easier. And we'll get that stamped. Okay. And then I'm going to cut that out with our nesting label framelits. They're like little stitched labels, so you get a nice assortment of different ones in there too. So this is going to just ultimately cut that out just like that. Okay. Run that through the Big Shot, and we get this. Isn't that cool? Okay. Then we're going to do some little coloring. Now, I'm using our blends, and I have the Old Olive, and I have the high and the low, the light and the dark. And one end is a nub end for fine, fine stuff, and then the other one is a brush end. I tend to just use the brush end a lot, but, you can use either one. I'm going to add just a little dot of the darker green on each of these leaves. A little goes a long way with the dark. And then I will blend that out with the light. That way you get a little bit of shading on your leaf, so you don't have just a solid color. Okay. Get all those done. And the ink that's on there kind of re-wettens and kind of bleeds in with the light. It doesn't pick up and soak up into your marker, so you don't need to worry about that. All right, that's the leaves. Then the tree branch, same thing. I'm going to use the artist's little notches there to kind of help. I'm not an artist, so I kind of try to follow the lines there, get some of that dark in there. Then I'm going to just bleed that back. And you get some highs and some lows in the colors there. Bleed it out, you just go a little more. I know I'm not staying in the lines. I'm trying to go fast. I don't want to make the video be 2 hours long for you guys. Okay, so that's the stem. And then I'm just going to use some yellow or a daffodil for the flowers. You could high-low these too, but they're kind of small. So you kind of lose some of that. You lose a little bit of that. I'm also going to put a little bit on their beaks. I didn't do that in my original card, and they probably should have a little color for their beaks, eh? All right, now for the birds themselves, I started with the dark Calypso Coral, and I just did a little squiggle in the center of the bird. Okay. Then I did the light Calypso Coral and kind of colored his belly. And you'll see that that kind of bleeds out. You get like a little bit of a spot in there. Same thing here. Just kind of blend that out so that you don't have any straight lines. You notice I didn't make real straight lines either. I kind of squiggled it. That kind of helps. Now I'm not trying to get like super perfect here and what the shape is of my little bird's breast. Not a problem, because we're going to do some other coloring that's going to bleed that right in. Let's go up a little bit on that one. And again, it's kind of messy, doesn't matter. Because then I'm going to come in with the crumb cake. And this is the dark. And again, I'm going to use the artist's little lines that they've already made to kind of give me a guideline of some highs and lows where the shadowing is. If I was an artist, I would be adding to that, but I'm not. So I'm going to let the artist do their job, and I'll play with their product. Okay, a little bit like that. So the light crumb cake, I'm going to bleed that in, and I'm not going to worry about overlapping into where I have the bird's breast, because that kind of bleeds it all in and changes, kind of bleeds that color out. Okay, isn't that cool? You can kind of go over the whole thing if you want. And again, I'm just pulling some of that darker color around so that the birds, and we'll get that breast part kind of bled in, and the same on this one. And if you go over the whole thing, it even mutes it even more. So the more you go over it, the more blending is going to happen with the marker. Wonderful. Okay, so we have that element done. Set that aside and get the base of our card assembled. So this is Calypso Coral. It's a half a sheet of cardstock. I'm just going to fold that in half. And then we have a piece of Whisper White that we're going to get this new brick pattern embossing. It's like a thicker, you get a little more texture in this embossing folder. It's kind of a little thickness to it. So we're going to just line that up with that line up there and get that run through the big shot. And then it kind of looks like this. And it has lots of depth to it. I know the camera's kind of hard to see that, but you get a lot more depth with those thicker embossing folders. Let's get this on the front here. And then I have a piece of the designer paper from the Bird, Freeze a Bird designer paper. And I'm going to just layer that straight up on some crumb cake paper. And then, of course, we want to make sure that our bird cages are not upside down, but right side up. Get that on for a little extra layering. Okay. Our stamped piece, we're going to put on some dimensionals. Oh, these sheets are getting a little lower here. I'm going to use some of the edges. Oh, there's a whole one. I'm just going to use some of the edge pieces and get one in the middle for some support. I love our dimensionals. You really can use the entire sheet, edge to edge, no waste. Okay. We're gonna put that right in the middle. And then I used a little piece of our very vanilla lace trim. I just used a little short piece of it here. Just like that. And I want to even that up. I don't like that there's a half of a scallop there. Let's do that. And this, I'm going to use my silicone mat and show you a little trick with that, because the silicone mat doesn't allow any glue to adhere to it. So I'm going to run my tape on my ribbon. See how it's kind of glued over, but look, comes right off. Magic little tool to have, a little handy thing to have on your desktop there. And I'm going to put that right under there. Gives it just a little bit of color and a little bit of texture. Don't worry about the blue. We're not going to see that. I'm going to stamp this verse in soft suede on crumb cake ink. And we're going to try to get that somewhat centered. Oh yeah, that looks good. Close my ink pad up. So this has, you know, several verses in this stamp set that could work on this card for sure. And I have an old banner punch that I use. I keep around pretty handy for my banners. I put it in upside down, and then it lines up and it cuts my banners for me. On these tinier pieces, it's a little easier than my little fold in half trick that I do a lot. And this, I'm going to put on some dimensionals. I'm going to use the little ones, the minis, as I have a pretty narrow piece of paper here. Get a couple of those on there. Get that little, sometimes those little papers are boogers to get off. And I'm just going to cover up where I had that tape. See, you don't even see it there anymore. You don't even see that little extra blue tape. And just for some added bling, I'm going to use our Bird Ballad trinkets. This comes with a bow, a key, a flower, and the leaves. So you get four different ones in there with a total of 24. So you get 6 of each. This would look really cute on there too, right? But I'm going to use this little leaf over here. And I'm going to put that on with a glue dot. This could hang from a piece of linen thread if you wanted it to. But I'm just going to add a little glue dot to the top of it. There we go. Got it picked up. And I'm just going to slide it right underneath my label there a little bit. There, voila. Super quick and easy. And, you know, coloring's always fun. We've done that all of our lives. We started as young children. So why not continue that no matter how old we get? I thank you very much for visiting with me today, and I hope you enjoyed making my card with me. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.